to turn this up. Hello. Hello. And this is okay here. Hey, everybody. Welcome aboard to this live show today. Let's put this a little more like here. A little more like here. That's going to be better. Welcome to the live show on this Saturday afternoon. So here is okay. We also have our resident cat. Mr. Paul is sleeping just in front here in the chair. Decided to do his nap while I do my show today. And special drink today. Sat at the liquor store and thought I would try it. So it's Milton Star. It's a apple cider lemonade, 5%. So I'm going to try that out. It'll be different from the usual stuff that I have. So hopefully that's going to be refreshing and good. And I've got my glass with ice. Apparently all natural ingredients, as they say. But we don't really know what that means today in reality. So here goes. Look at that. That looks very refreshing, guys. Look at that. Huh? Cheers. Wow, it's actually very good. Really tastes like lemonade. Very good. So here's the first can. And hello, everybody. And whatever you're having, water, tea, coffee, Coca-Cola, root beer, doesn't matter. Everybody's welcome. And here we go. Just put this here. And quickly check the email before I forget. And we have we have Elizabeth saying hello from Regina, Saskatchewan, and she says that she is going to be tuning around and having fun listening to the show. And we have Richard Limke in St. Albert that says hello and asks if I've tried the Wemo noise suppressor, the blanker thing. So I've heard of it, but no, I've not tried it. Looks interesting, definitely. It's nice to have you here, Richard, and nice to have everybody on board today as we are Saturday, May 29th, 2021. And pretty cool to have all of you here as we talk about radio today. And we'll be chasing a few signals and just having fun in general. So welcome, everybody. This is the Shortwave Live Show, Saturday edition. We are here twice a week on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's Wednesday for North America. 0 hours UTC is Thursday for a lot of people. Middle of the night for Europe, pretty much. And we are also live on Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern. That's 20 hours UTC. And we talk about radio and have fun with radio and shortwave radio, medium wave, long wave, radio of all kinds. And this is a place where everybody's welcome. Even if you're new to the hobby, we are here to help. We are here to share. Nobody here should be and I have the impression they're not welcome, because everybody is welcome. And it's a great place, and people are here to have fun and deal with radio, and hope that everybody's gonna have fun also. And there's a lot of new people in the hobby. It's pretty interesting to see this. It's cool, actually, to see this. We have a Facebook group when all the party's over here, because there's a beautiful chat room if you have a Gmail account. But if you're not in the chat room, there's a beautiful Facebook group where people share what they're listening to, the radios they use, and just have plain fun with radio. And hope that everybody will find the show cool and enjoy listening to the radio, and maybe learn something and all of that. I even learned something, so imagine. So it's pretty cool to have all of you here. We are live twice a week, like I said. My name is Gilles, and I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, northeast part of North America. And so today's Saturday. Time goes really fast. Next show is in June. Pretty crazy when you think about it, that we're already going to be beginning of June on Wednesday. That's something that is impressive in a way, and it's kind of interesting to see all the as the time goes by, all the changes coming this year, and as things are slowly getting to normal in many places. Here we finally, since yesterday, can go out and eat a lunch at a restaurant on a terrace outside. Inside, it's still not open, but soon it's coming by steps. And hope that you enjoy as we slowly get to normal. And what's cool with our hobby, we say how our hobby is very solitary. So we're always inside with our radios. Was there a pandemic or something? I don't know. I didn't see anything. But it's a lot of fun to have radio to tag along and make sure that everybody enjoys the radio moments that define makes us travel around the world when travel is difficult, and makes us listen to all sorts of other things to keep our mind off of all of the weirdness of this moment in our lifetime, where it's kind of bizarre what's happening. And William Helms, nice to have you here from Florida. Bobby Burgess in Morgan City, Louisiana, USA, WA5107 SWL. Hector Vasquez, nice to have you here from Los Angeles, California. Paulie, nice to have you on board. Graham, nice to have you here from Milton, Ontario, reporting 6 meters open this afternoon. Wow, pretty cool. Let's check 27025 for the Super Bowl channel. Any activity here? Super Bowl channel is quiet here. It's interesting. Interesting how, less than 1,000 kilometers. Less than 1,000 kilometers is a huge difference in radio, and makes a difference in what you hear and you don't hear. That's just crazy. Jared EX, nice to have you on board. Rich, nice to have you here from North Carolina. Rob from Phoenix, Arizona. Skip, nice to have you here in 2EI. Always nice to have you on board from South New Jersey. James Johnson, nice to have you here from Jacksonville, Florida, WA4493 SWL. M1MBZ, nice to have you here, Mike, in South Gloucestershire, UK. David, KJ4CMY, nice to have you on board from a cooler Central Georgia. And he's hunting parks on the air stations all afternoon. Cool. That's fun. And, it's fun activity when you think about it. The fact that you can, this also joins, outdoor activities, being outside at a different place. I'm looking at the weather this week, which is going to be quite nice. And I'm trying to find I was thinking probably Thursday. I'll be going back to the park with I'll bring the H501X and do some radio listening in the park. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to check that out. And 6RLS, nice to have you on board from California. Charles, nice to have you on board. Does the sync detection work on the Texan PL330? Like pretty much all Texans, it's not very good. It unlocks and is very, very weird. Texan has a very hard time having that feature work well on most of its radios. Personally, I don't miss it because I never, even when I had one that it worked well in the past, I never found it that interesting because I would tune in upper or lower sideband to whatever station that I want to enhance my listening, and it works fine. For me, that works as well as sync detection. And that works well because, with the precision of the display, it's easy to really like zero in an upper or lower sideband on a signal. RTM, nice to have you here from Northern California, Canadian radio TV guy. And nice to have you on board, coming over to take a break from the YouTube Amfest right now. Tom DXer, nice to have you here, WPE2QED from Hudson Valley, New York, windy and raining. It's interesting here. It's a cool but very, very beautiful day here in Montreal. We're maybe upper 60s. And David, nice to have you on board from Barcelona, Spain. PLF Radio, nice to have you on board from toujours un plaisir de t'avoir parmi nous de Lyon en France. C'est toujours un grand plaisir. Hi, brother. Nice to have you here from Arkansas. Joe, nice to have you on board from Apex, North Carolina, KM4WRQ. Shortwave listener, nice to have you here from Bolton, UK. We have Scott Cranston, nice to have you here from gloomy Massachusetts. And maybe I should just lower this because you'll hear notifications all the time. Christian Marcoux, bonjour et bienvenue. Nice to have you on board. What do we have? Kev Michael, nice to have you here from Hawaii. We have Mobile Armored Strike Command. Nice to have you here. Received on Thursday a Yaesu FTA 550 Pro X airband transceiver. Nice to, pretty cool. David, KJ4CMY has Lemonade. Cool. Carl de Simon, nice to have you here. Just bought a Texan PL 990, a 368, and a Sewadon R108. New hobby, gonna cause a divorce. Glenn Zegman, nice to have you here from Tennessee. Donald Hosmer, nice to have you on board. Donald, W8 SWL in Northern Michigan. Terrence, nice to have you here. And second-time listener, just got his Texan PL990X. How do you like it? M1MBZ's cup of tea today. Perfect. Jared X is having Sprite Lemonade. Perfect. Everybody saying hello to Elizabeth, of course. And it's nice to have everybody on board. Christian Marcoux, yes, everybody does what he wants. Absolutely. What's dangerous with this, you know what, is it's so good and refreshing that it's the kind of thing that you can eat before you notice that you're real drunk. Catalin, nice to have you here from Germany, the E1 CTL. Scott has Jack's Abbey House Lager. That sounds great. Spike Spikerson, hey, nice to have you here. What else do we have? Jeff Williams, nice to have you on board from Southwest Cornwall. You're talking about Paul being camera shy today? Kevin, nice to have you on board. WS2H from a tourist-infested Jersey Shore. Does Montreal have a peak tourist season? Yes, we do. Usually, so right now, what's happening is that everything's quiet because the border with the U.S. is still closed until June 21st, and the border with Ontario is closed. So we're pretty much among Montrealers and Quebecers right now. But in a normal time of the year, this is when it starts. Usually around mid to end of May, until about Labor Day weekend, early September is peak period, and we have a lot of people from the U.S. coming over here for different things. I would say probably the U.S. is like the biggest, one of the biggest tourists here in Montreal. And of course, we have a lot from different countries, including from France. But usually June, July, and August is full of tourists everywhere. We see it particularly downtown near the old port, where there's Old Montreal. That's where you see all the tourists go, because tourists go to these spots where we don't go much. But that's when you see that there's a lot of tourists. But right now it's quiet, and until things really get a little more normal, I think it's going to be quiet for a little while before it actually comes back. Next year is probably going to be back to normal if everything is all right. But we're still in the, so with the border closed, we still don't have that many people coming right here right now. But yes, we do. Kev Michael, 720 kilohertz, 10 p.m. KDWN, Las Vegas, Nevada. Wow, that's a nice distance. Mobile Armor Strike Command sent a reception report to station KPH with my shortwave QSL card on Wednesday. Cool. David Williamson, nice to have you on board. What happened to Mr. Paul? He's sleeping in the chair in front of me. Nothing special. We're going to the vet on Monday for his annual checkup and his vaccines. So that's going to be the event for Mr. Paul on Monday. Apart from that, he's fine. Mel, nice to have you here from Seattle. Carl De Simone says he's from Beaufort, South Carolina. Pretty cool. And one MBZ says it's holiday weekend in the UK. Tourism goes mad until Tuesday. Wow. Skip. So yeah, right now it's closed until June 21st. And I would say that if things go well enough, I wouldn't be surprised. I would be surprised that they would extend it again. I think we're getting to this point where maybe. So if they do, they'll do it again until July 21st. But and I think we're really close to the end of the U.S.-Canada border closure for sure. I'm pretty sure that's really really close. Oh, Jerry had no video. Okay. Yeah, sometimes it happens. You just have to refresh if it ever happens. TVDXer, bonjour, ça va? J'espère que tu vas bien toi aussi. Nice to have you on board from just out of Montreal. Hi, Mapper. Nice to have you on board from Moscow, Russia. Cheers. Of the Dawn is here. Welcome aboard, my friend. Randall Cluns. Nice to have you here, Randall, from Northeast Illinois. PA1SBM, Alex, nice to have you here from the Netherlands. Lots of DX from Kev Michael in Hawaii. Look at that, all the stations. Mexico, New Zealand, San Diego, California, Seattle, Washington. Wow. That's what I call DX. Jerry DX 80 meter band was up and down last night. Miki Delmage, nice to have you on board. Just worked WC8 VOA from the Voice of America Bethany Relay Station Museum this afternoon on 20 meters. That's cool. That is cool. PLF Radio says 2 or 3 days ago, lots of FMDX via Sporadic E. Saw videos of these and reports of DX Maps website. Yeah, that's nice. I wish I could. Here it's impossible for two reasons. To the XFM band. First of all, the FM band here is pretty much crowded from from top to bottom. First of all, so finding an empty spot is almost impossible. Add to that there's just so much. FM breakthrough with overload of these really strong FM signals here. DXing the FM band from Montreal itself is kind of a tough one. JDX, better hire an off-duty cop to guard your radios. What else do we have? Kev Michael, Siberia, 279 kilohertz. Wow. Terrence, nice to have you here. N9BMM performed a ATM scan on the 990X or ATS scan over Lake Michigan. Received 52 stations. Cool. That's nice. No, I did not hear about YouTube Hamfest this weekend over YouTube. I had no idea. I had no idea that happened this weekend. Jared X says 45 Fahrenheit this morning. Supposed to go back to the 80s next Friday. Yeah, same here. We had really hot weather last week, and now it's been a few days that it's been cold actually. And starting Monday or Tuesday, we're going to go back into the 70s and even maybe touch the 80s again. So we should have some nice weather, warmer weather. Darren Rogers, nice to have you on board. Darren, KB2AHS in Long Island, New York. Sean, nice to have you here from the UK. We have Log 2112 from Nassau Bay, Texas. We have Kevin Michael heard RFO, Radio France Outre-mer, French 738. Man, I remember when they were on shortwave. Still remember hearing Tahiti on shortwave. Oh, man. What is the frequency? 15170? And I think they were on 7170 also. Man. Long time ago. Everybody's saying hello to Elizabeth, like we said. And we have, of course, Richard Lemke. That is also through email on in Alberta, Canada. RJ88 Dakota, nice to have you on board, my friend. And one MBZ text on PL330 sync detection locks, then unlocks frequently. It's like it really wants to be a few hundred hertz off frequency, but the lock keeps triggering it on frequency. Yeah, I think it has to do with one of the things that I've noticed on a lot of the text and receivers. The SSB listening, sometimes when it's too strong, has a slight wobble to it. And it's still good and listenable, but that I wouldn't be surprised is what causes the sync to screw up. David Williamson, where are your thoughts on the software Chirp software? I have no idea. I don't know what that is. Francis, nice to have you here. Yeah, like Kevin Michael says, COVID cannot stop radio. Lock 2112. So wrong voice in English on 8514 kilohertz. Yeah, I know. We talked about it. PLF Radio, the medium wave broadcaster, is closing in the UK. We talked about it on the International Radio Report a couple of weeks ago. Kevin Michael says 8843 San Francisco International Air Communications and Upper Sideband. Terry Cook, nice to have you on board from Western Montana, KF7BQ. We have our JDA Dakota. Finally got my new Texan PL330. Very nice radio with the ETM Plus. Definitely. You know, the only thing that is making it a little short on sensitivity, maybe on the telescopic, is very small. But put an outdoor antenna or clip just a piece of wire in that telescopic, and it greatly improves the radio. But it's an amazing radio. I mean, the Texan PL330 for the price is amazing, really amazing. Mobile Armored Strike Command says everyone should read the 8-page article, Synchronous Detection of AM Signals by Mike Gruber, WA1SVF. Reddy Charbonnier from the Radio Classic Sunday. Nice to have you on board from the Netherlands. Terrence worked the VE3GJP last night. So, cool. 8764 point raise KFS with marine forecast and upper sideband. PLF Radio says on my location I can't do FMDX because the FM band is full of local broadcasts. Pretty much the same here. No FMDX really possible. Al, nice to have you here. Chastang, nice to have you on board from Louisville, Kentucky. Jerry, heard the bitch cop will be waiting for you at the park. Oh, man. Yeah, with new radios. Just going to have fun. I still remember that moment. It's like, yeah. Actually, I haven't seen it. Any police at the park for a while. I need to go to Perry Island again soon. I haven't been there. I've been there I've been there one time last year, I think. So need to get there. Need to go a little more often this year. But I want to go to different places this year. So last week, 2 weeks ago, I went to Visitation Island. I might be going back there this week because it's easy to go to. On Thursday, that's possibly where I'm going to go. But Perry Island is definitely coming soon. And I want to go to a few different places. I want to go to, there's a place in the Verdun, which is in the southwest part of Montreal, with a beach. It's they've had a new beach a couple of years ago. And I want to go there and see what it looks like. And at the same time, find a spot maybe I can do some radio. Must be pretty quiet conditions there, far further from houses and all. So I'm going to go different places. I want to go back to that on the east side, also the Parc Belle-Rive, which is a park where I can actually see the ships that are going either to the port of Montreal or diverting towards the St. Lawrence Seaway. And it's fun because you see all the ships go by. So I always bring a scanner radio in case I hear some VHF marine communications there. It's kind of interesting. RJ Dakota says, used to love Tahiti on shortwave. Yeah, 15170, I remember, 11825. I thought they had one in the 41 meter band. Maybe I'm wrong. But boy, I still remember. 15170 was coming in. First, that was a station just like Radio Australia and Radio New Zealand, a summer station for me. Because 15170 would not make it in the winter, but it was there almost every night in the summertime. This is really, really nice. Ah, man. Carl Icon, nice to have you on board. German on WBCQ's World Last Chance, 9330 kilohertz. Man, the other day it was blasting here. Usually skips over here, so most of the time there's really nothing much. But there was a day when it was crazy. Let me just check out here. There's I'm checking the Preom website. Wanna see if I'm missing out on anything here. So okay, in 30 minutes we have M12. We'll try three different stations in 30 minutes. M12, which is the Morse code station for Moscow, Russia number station, will be on 10843 CW. Cuba, HM0 on 16180. And F06A on 18626 and RTTY. Looks interesting. Where does the F06A come from? Just I'll check that out. So here we are. All right. Just gonna refresh the page here. So just want to see. So Saturday, F06. Where does that F06 come from? If F06A, it says that's from Moscow, Russia. Also F06A. And FSK 200 baud, 1000 hertz. This is what it sounds like, apparently. So that's coming up. All three of them are coming up. F06A is pretty high frequency, 18626, but we're going to try all three in 20 some minutes from now. I'm going to be curious to see if we hear something, if I hear one of them from the one of these number stations. Okay, yeah, David Williamson, the programming software for handheld radios. Yeah, now rings a bell. I've heard about it, but I've never dabbled with that at all. Eric Cottrell, bonjour, hi, nice to have you here. Very cool here too, but it's a very beautiful day. Very beautiful day. Yeah, there isn't the CQ some kind of a CQ or a worldwide a CW contest or something this weekend? Something happening with that, if I'm not mistaken. Charlie, W8CFO from Columbus, Ohio. Nice to have you here. David Donald Hosmer says, have you compared the PL330 with the PL368? Same electronics, but different physical builds. They are slightly different. They do have a different firmware number, so it's kind of different. It's not just different physical build. I think it's kind of a different radio, probably close to have the same parts, but not totally exactly the same. It's not the same electronics with a different physical build. It's two radios that are physically different, but they operate the same. A lot of the operations are the same. They are very similar in performance. ETM scan that I did on both are giving me roughly the same stations. Both are great. Different form factor, of course. What's interesting, my PL368 being the Chinese version, of course, you're always scared that there's a bug or some kind of weird thing happening. But in the case of the PL368, I haven't found any weirdness in it. PL330, of course, my version has that reverse tuning bug in SSB, but I've learned to deal with it, so it doesn't kind of make me go nuts much, more than that. I've learned to live with it, and it works great anyways. MDK2, Matt, nice to have you here in Denver, Colorado. Can't watch since the weather is supposed to be rough on Monday. We're going to Memorial Day thing today. No problem, my friend. Stay safe. Joe Gomez in San Diego, California. Nice to have you here. By the way, let's check. Let's check. Just go where I was, and let's check for Radio Romania, which should be on the air in English right now. Let's try. You guys want to try it? Yep.
Coming up next, the week in review.
Radio Romania, 13650.
Welcome to the Weekend Review. I'm Hannah Hippo. The COVID-19 pandemic in Romania has been on the downward trend lately.
So Radio Romania English, 13650, if you guys want to try it out. Jason, nice to have you here. Your channel, by the way. I live in an apartment with much noise. Well, the MLE30 helped cut through the noise. I have the PL330, and it's a very nice radio. Thank you. It's your best bet. If you have a lot of noise, the only thing that might bring it to life, bring your radio to life in a noisy apartment, is an MLA30 that you could put near a window. A lot of people have successful use of the MLA30 in those conditions. But, it's not a miracle antenna. You'll have to try it. Every situation is different. So, the best bet is to try it. And, if it's not super successful, tell yourself it's pretty portable. You can use it, go to a park, go somewhere else and install that MLA30 and have a great antenna for your PL330 when you're outside the house. It's not lost. But, yes, it's your only chance. If there's a lot of noise, it's your only chance. The MLA30 is where it shines. Noisy places, noisy apartments, and big cities where noise levels are high. That's where you can maybe have a chance. Try it out. It's the best thing to do. It's not super expensive, and like I said, even if it wouldn't be that great, well, you can take the PL330 is very portable. MLA30 can be very portable too. You bring it out with you and you go somewhere, and it makes your it's your outdoor antenna. And when you go to a park for it, listening and stuff like that. Dimitri, nice to have you on board. Jay Watterson 69. Like 2112. Radio Havana, Cuba is pretty snappy interval signal. Kev Michael, Radio New Zealand was on 9710 back in the day. Like 2112. Got Radio Havana, Cuba on 15140. Dimitri says it's a sunny day in Minnesota. Cool. Varun, nice to have you on board from India. Repair vintage radios. That's my hobby. 2 a.m. over there. Are you broadcasting this live on shortwave also? Nope. Sometimes we are, because sometimes there's some good-hearted pirate station that takes the audio and feeds it online on shortwave. And some people report that they're hearing me on shortwave sometimes. So it does happen, but no, we don't have a shortwave outlet for this show. RJ88 Dakota, Radio Tahiti was a great signal for me, even in winter at that time. Sad now that's over. Radio Tahiti was a great signal. Yeah, it's, times are changing. Times are changing. Tristan, nice to have you on board from Newfoundland. Nice day here. Just finished a barbecue. Makes you think summer might be around the corner. Cool. Like 2112. Anyone out there have a recent version of Special Frequency List German of 2011? I was curious about how much has changed. I figured not much. Well, from 2011 to 2021, there's a lot of changes in that 10-year period. Yes, there's a lot of changes. We have lost in that 10 years some stations. There's, where did I go and find that? When you go, let me just go here for a second. When you go to, yeah, okay. If you guys want to have a blast at what was on the air, but please don't cry, because when you're going to see that, you are going to cry. Go to the EIBI-space.de website. Down, the last thing down of the first square where there's the frequency lists, there's archive. You can check the A20. So here's the A20 schedules of radio stations. On shortwave. And to give you guys an idea, so Radio Finland was there, Radio Veritas Asia, Radio Prague direct from the Czech Republic, Radio Canada International, Radio Austria International, Radio Vilnius, Lithuania, Radio Sweden, Radio Tashkent, Radio Yugoslavia. You had the Canadian Northern Quebec Service, 9625. Radio Australia, Radio Bulgaria. The Voz Christiana from Chile. Deutsche Welle in English. Radio France International. Radio Budapest, Radio Japan had the North American English service. One was relayed from Canada on 6145. I remember that frequency. 17810. I remember that frequency from Asia being even in the 80s. I have a couple of QSL cards from, I think it's 17810 and 17825. Radio Taipei International. Radio Ukraine. Well, WIFR before they got bought by WRMI, the transmitter side. Radio Romania, Radio Kuwait, Radio Mexico International. Man, KBS World Radio. What is there? There's a lot of stuff there. Man. That is one hell of a moment in time stuff, and that's in so that's schedules that were for July of 2000, July of 2000. Lots of stuff gone today, guys. What else do we have? Utilities are shifting. I would say there were more utilities before, but there's shifting of what we hear. But there's still quite a lot of utility stuff out there, for sure. Terrence says 990X Bluetooth audio is awesome. Yeah, absolutely, works great. The export, nice to have you here from Cincinnati. PLF Radio, have you tried medium wave on your new Texan 330-990X and 501X and or Sanjay ATS 909X2? I did a little bit. To test out daytime mostly. I haven't done nighttime much. They all seem to perform well. The 909X2 has some annoying whining tones that I don't know where they come from. M1 MBZ, hearing rock and roll bluegrass country music on 4915. Isn't there a pirate, Euro pirate there? 4915. I think, because I remember well. Check Shortwave Pirates site here. Isn't there a Euro pirate on 4915 or something like that? Yeah, TRX radio. You're hearing TRX radio. It's been reported today on 4915 AM. So you guys in Europe are probably hearing that TRX radio. And if you try another one here that's unID'd, 4870. There's Offshore Music Radio, 6541. So you guys should try that out. I see them. They're reported on HF Underground website. Terrence, CQ Worldwide contest ended this morning. 40 meters was packed. Okay. So it's interesting. The export, my C-Crane EP Pro and CC Radio 3 arrived Tuesday. Going to do some big time medium wave DX. Cool. Have fun with that. Scaneri, nice to have you here. Receiving Radio Romania S9 in Rhode Island, USA. M1MBZ, Radio Romania, very loud on 13650. Neil Toombs, nice to have you here. M0CJM in UK. Nice to have you on board. Michael Thompson, nice to have you on board. LW Appleby, nice to have you on board with a Uniden EZ133XLT. Give Michael misses Radio Australia. Well, I think with that, there are a few stations that we miss real big time, and Radio Australia definitely is one we miss a lot for sure. Steve, does the D808 allow frequency calibration? Not that I know of. Is yours off frequency for some reason? Because it's difficult. The fine tuning doesn't really give you an offset in a certain amount of kilohertz. It's really just an offset, like a BFO. So technically, it should be pretty good on frequency. KNLS Alaska, which is still broadcasting. Donna Hosmer, here today, gone tomorrow. Yeah, Jetcrafter, nice to have you on board. Happy Memorial Day to my friends in the US. And patiently awaiting the release date of the CountyCom GP7. Yeah, that should be very, very close. Very, very close. Paul, nice to have you on board from Southwest Michigan. RJDA Dakota, Springbok Radio on 4810 from Johannesburg RSA was nice too. Played lots of commercials. Yeah, that reminds me of the like Radio Orion on, what was it, 3310 or something like that. There was a couple of those stations. Oh, man. Dave, nice to have you here from Indianapolis. PLF Radio, maybe you can try the AN200. Yeah, that's my next thing that I'm going to try the AN200 on them. PLF Radio. I need to do some tests with that for sure. Matrix 54X. Just ordered the Texan H501X from Anonco. M1 and BZ says 4870, Mystery Radio 21. KW 1161. Nice to have you here from Tucson, Arizona. Tucson, Arizona. Kevin Michael 7410 with KUSW Super Radio, Salt Lake City, Utah in the US. Yeah, that reminds me of when when WRNO was called the Rock of the World. Oh man, pretty crazy. Yeah, medium wave. They are medium wave, I believe. Also Australia. Yeah. Robert Prosper's got a Conicom GP5, but I want to listen to SSB, and it is almost impossible to tune it to the ham bands since they don't show up on Easy Tune Scan. Actually, if you put the radio in single sideband and you press the up and down for band, you are actually going through the amateur bands directly. And you don't want to have easy tuning scan on SSB because it won't work properly. Because a single sideband transmission, unlike a broadcast, is not constant. When someone talks in single sideband, there's a signal. When the person does not talk, there's nothing. So if the radio scans through an SSB signal and at that moment it's that 1 second when the guy's not talking, it's just going to go through thinking there's nothing there, but in reality there's transmission. Easy tuning mode is not really designed and would not work very well in SSB. It's really designed to detect the carrier and the station. That's why they did it for mostly for AM broadcast band, the international broadcast band. That's where it shines and works well. Stations that scan through other parts usually miss out on tons of things because of the fact that SSB isn't constant. So the GP5, the best is you just go through the bands. Once you switch to SSB, when you want to go from band to band, it actually switches from amateur band to amateur band. So you're already in the good part of the signal of the band. You just have to go and slowly tune up or down the frequency in the single sideband. For that purpose, the GP5 isn't that bad actually. You should try it. And anyways, like I said, easy tuning mode or ATS scan does not deal well with SSB signals. You're better off manual tuning and the bands for that. Shortwave listener says 4915 coming in nicely. PL330 and MLA30. Tony X Radio Orion 3320. 4810 and 48. I had the one on 3320. Something like that. So yeah, radio. I got a QSL card actually from Radio Orion. Here, how much are people paying for the PL330, including shipping? I see a broad range online. Technically, it should be. So an Onco has it for $62 plus shipping. So that's the price for an Onco. So you go $62 and you add shipping depending on what you want. But it shouldn't go higher than $90. You should still be below $100 all in all. That's for sure. LW Applebee. No, it's apple cider for those that weren't here at the beginning. Today is Milton Star apple cider lemonade. So this is 5% alcohol. Apple cider lemonade. It's was sold at a liquor store and it looked interesting. So I thought, hey, you know what? That's gonna make a change. Terry Cook, Mars, and amateur radio interoperability exercise again next week on the 60-meter channel 1. Cool. Lock 2112 as an ice cold Miller. Yeah, in Europe, it's prices are a little higher for some reason. Very often. Jerry DX been receiving strong ham from Alberta. Says, and then the VE3CQ late every night on 20 meters. Band is starting to open up at night. Yeah, summertime. Summertime is that. Summertime is 20 meters is open pretty much all night. So, pretty interesting. Let me just. Okay, just make sure that I'm not missing out on anybody. M1 MBZ about the same as the XH data D808. So, you know, pretty much. Brad and Amarillo, nice to have you here. Says about $80 in this case. And RG Dakota 65. Paul, ciders taste good, but look out for the headaches. Yeah, you don't drink too much of that. That's for sure. Hey, Blind Picker, nice to have you here, Rob, in Connecticut, W0RAB. So, pretty cool. So, pretty cool to have everybody here. So, hey, guys, let's prepare ourselves. If you guys want to try it, 3 number stations to try. 3 number stations to try. Give me a second, Robert. I'm going to take out my GP5 and I'm going to do it. I'm going to try to show you live. I haven't used it in a while, so I'm a little risky with it, but I'm going to just show you that. So, number stations from Moscow, Russia, and 1 from Cuba. So, in 3 minutes, we will have M12. If you guys want to jot down the frequencies, M12, which is a Morse code number station from Moscow, Russia, on 10843 kilohertz CW. I'm going to tune that one, 10843 kilohertz CW. If you don't have CW, tune 10842 upper sideband. And if you don't have, if you have a BFO knob, just you can tune 10843. Just play around with the BFO to get a tone for the CW. So here we're going to put the volume a little here. And we're going to see if we hear some CW coming out of that Moscow, Russia. That's Morse code coming up, 10843 kilohertz CW. There's also Cuba on 16180 with HM01, which is the Cuban number lady. And there's a RTTY one from Moscow, Russia also, but that one's on a very high frequency of 18626. 18626 upper sideband. So we're going to see if we hear the 10 megahertz Morse code coming up in a few seconds, about 2 minutes from now. So be patient. Still not there yet. Should be coming up. If I forget, Robert, just type GP5, and I'll immediately remember what you mean if I ever forget. So okay. What else do we have? Vicky Pelletier, bonjour, j'espère que ça va bien. Fait très beau dehors, salutations en tout cas, merci de l'explication, même si je ne comprends pas tout. Je suis newbie dans le domaine. Cool, Vicky. Bienvenue. Welcome aboard. John Beckham, nice to have you here. Randy in Riverside, California, nice to have you here. Okay. Are we going to hear? Are we going to hear Morse code on 10843 CW? Yep. Yep. Not super strong, but it's there. So 10843 CW. I hear the. I do hear the Morse code. I'm going to try RTTY on 1866. Don't have anything on 18626. And I do have a weak signal on 16180 from the Cuban lady, but it's not very strong. A lot of deep fades. Oh, 10843 is the one that with the CW punching through we can hear. So 10843 CW for the M12 station. David in Barcelona, EA3IEK, EA4998UR ESWL. Nice to have you on board from Barcelona, Spain. Danielle, nice to have you here from Dublin, Ireland. Mac Music Man can hear it only on the Texan PL990X inside on the internal antenna. Shortwave listener, Morse, loud and clear. Terry Cook, 10843 CW, very weak here in Montana. Bobby says, oh, on 1 out of 3 only. HM01 was captured from Cuba. John Beckham, 10843. So log 2112 says 10843 dead over there. Kevin Upton, nice to have you here first time from Ann Arbor, Michigan. Love the videos. You've helped so much with purchase decisions. Thank you. Well, thank you very much. And you're welcome to come here regularly. Always fun to have some new people watching and looking at the videos and watching the live shows. So 10843 is it's not strong, but we definitely hear that there's Morse code coming out of Moscow, Russia. And really nice to have this here. M1 MBZ, CW on 10843, very loud over there. Yeah, because, it comes from Moscow, Russia. So you guys in Europe should actually hear that much better than here. Especially at this time, that frequency isn't necessarily yet the best. So next, we're going to try... In 12 minutes, there's RTTY one on 16 megahertz I want to try. So I'm going to try that one after that. Let me check out. So let me just take my GP5 SSB. And we're going to pop in some batteries in this thing, so that I can demonstrate when you are listening to ham bands So on the GP5 SSB, so I'm just going to lower the volume. On a GP5 SSB, when you tune up and down in AM mode, okay, the frequency jump to what is the closest to the different international broadcast band, 11 megahertz, 13 megahertz, 15 megahertz, 17650. So you jump through the international broadcast bands. Instead, if you put yourself in upper lower sideband, okay, now I'm in sideband, it shows on the display. The same up and down button, okay, will go through. So here, except for this one, 13 megahertz, which is a marine band, it's going to go through. So here you have, 30 meter band amateur radio. Here is 40 meter band. This is the 80 meter band. This is the 160 meter band. So it cycles through 10 meter band, 12 meter band, 15 meter band, 17 meter band, 20 meter band. So you put yourself in upper sideband, or in single sideband, sorry, and you just press the up and down button. It jumps from amateur band to amateur band. And there, you can simply manually tune to find a signal, like I'm doing here. And you find yourself some amateur signals. Remember the rule, 14 megahertz and up is upper sideband, and below 14 megahertz, you're in lower sideband. There's an exception to the rule with 60 meter band, but automatically it jumps to the amateur bands already when, at least that's a good thing, is they did think about that. When you're AM mode, international broadcast bands, which is normal because it's what most people will want to tune with this. And then you put it in single sideband, and it knows that, of course, there's utility signals and all of that, but in single sideband, they kind of thought, well, let's make it jump through the amateur bands instead, which is perfect because a lot of people want that. So this is how you do it, and simply tune manually in each band to hear single sideband signals after that. So hope that helped you understand a little more on the GP5 SSB out to tune the amateur bands, my friend. What else do we have? Dave, 10843 week in Indiana, 16180 seems to be a carrier with no signal. So it's possible, or the audio is often very weak on 16180. So there could be something, but it could be weak. Oh yeah, you're here since the start of the show. There's so many people that say hi, David, that I forget sometimes that I already said hi to someone. So Dave says 10843 week in Indiana. PLF Radio. 10843 CW on the XH Data D808. Cool. Mickey Dalmich, 10843 Fair in Alberta. John says, my voice is fantastic. I do have a radio voice, I got to say. I really have a radio voice. KW1161, nothing on 10843. Kevin Upton just ordered the unit from CountyCom, comes next week. Happy to see it here today. So, SGB, nice to have you here. On my D808, I'm getting a strong signal on 10842. Nothing on 10843. Yeah, but you got to play around with that BFO. So if you hear Morse code on 10842, it's because if you put it on 10843 and start playing with a BFO, you're going to start hearing that you're going to tune in the tone for the CW. It's really a question of playing around with the BFO, or the fine tuning. PLF PM1 SBM Alex, 17 meter band is a lot of fun. I always have some really, really cool European DXing on that band. So let me just go check it out here. So okay. For the question being asked about is it the same on the Texan PL368 Canadian Prairie Shortwave? Yes. So when you're on, so let me just do this. Oops. Okay. When you're on AM mode and tune up or down the bands, which is here, you're going through the international band. So 5,000 for 60 meter band, 6130 for 49 meter band, 7375 here for the 41 meter band, 9830 are in the 31 meter band, 25 meter band, 22 meter band, 19 meter band, 16 meter band, and so on. And if you put yourself in single sideband, if you do the same scan, now you're in 20 meter band here, going down. You'll be at the 30 meter band. You'll be at the 40 meter band, 80 meter band. Oh, this one has the 60 meter band, actually. The GP5 skips over that one. It doesn't have it programmed. This one does have the 60 meter band, 53, 57 here. Then the 80 meter band, then the 160 meter band. And then you go back up to the 10 meter band, 12, 15, 17. So it reacts exactly in the same way on the PL368. AM mode, you go through the international broadcast band. Single sideband, you go up and down buttons, move you through the amateur radio bands. Fun fact that I didn't know, the PL368 being newer adds the 60 meter band in that search when you scan from, not scan, but when you go up and down the bands. So I think it could be something fun to know for everybody that has these radios and so it's a quick way to go through the bands instead of punching in a frequency. Or, this is cool also, even better than, because I know the frequencies by heart. So this is, I don't need help, because if I want to go to the 20 meter band, I punch in 14200, for example, and I just tune. But for people that are new to the hobby and don't know what's the frequency range of these bands, where do I listen to amateur radio? Where do I listen to international broadcasts? Well, with this help of the up-down buttons, you are moving on to the correct band when you tune around up and down by just changing mode. So in AM mode, you're going through the international broadcast bands with the up and down. Through an NSSB, you go through the amateur radio bands. So you don't need to know what are the frequencies. They're already pre-programmed the range for you. So it's kind of cool for that also. Makes it a little easier to tune around. Ken Baird says 10843, strong CW in Switzerland. Cool. Welcome aboard. So you shouldn't have trouble putting the radio in as single sideband. Is it that when you press the button, it doesn't react? Because usually to put it in single sideband, all you have to do is press the green button. So when the radio's on and you're in the bands, the green button is giving you upper sideband. So it's going to say U at the top of the display. A U will appear. If you press again, it changes with an L for lower sideband. And if you want to fine tune, you see there's 2 zeros on the right side. When you press the orange button will fine tune So if you want to fine tune the audio, you go up and down, and it says minus. If you go below 0, it's minus. That will actually help you have the pitch of the voice. A trick for frequency precision. If you want to know what you're listening to is precisely on a specific frequency, when you tune the single sideband signal, you shouldn't be too far on the 0 scale here. So when you press the fine tune, you should actually be maybe, minus 20, minus 30 off, but you shouldn't be too off. If you're really far off, it's possible that in the display you're 1 kilohertz away from the actual frequency. But you shouldn't have problems going through sideband. Really, it's the cycle of sideband is simply that. It's the green button brings you an upper or lower sideband. The orange button brings you the fine tuning to get the pitch of the voice on the GP5. So I hope that helps, because you shouldn't have trouble getting the radio into single sideband. Scale Op 4, nice to have you here. The magazine 1976, nice to have you on board. John Beckham loves the 17-meter band also. And, 17 meters being one of the Warwick bands, it's also one of the bands that when contests go crazy, you can go and talk to people, not have to enjoy the contests of everybody going nuts at the same time. And I'm opening my second Milton Star apple cider lemonade. So I think it's a pretty good, especially very cold like it is right now. Amazingly good. They're going to be. They have another one that I'll have to try. Scott Belcher, speaking of WKRP in Cincinnati, I got to have 2 big scenes with Gary Sandy a few years ago. What hard-working, generous professional, and a gentleman. I was truly impressed. Cool. Log 2112 as FEMA Ale 141A on 14776. Yep, 14230 slow scan television. Absolutely. LW Throot, weak signals are weak signals. Instruments are just not advanced yet. Different components will be made more refined. This stuff is real out of date. Radio must be reinvented. No, the radios today are very, very sensitive. The biggest problem today is much more in the aspects of the noise around us. Random Obvious, nice to have you here. Go Habs Go should be an awesome game tonight. Do you have your amateur license yet? No, I was supposed to be joining in April for a class, which was made via Zoom, and I never got contacted back by anybody. So I don't know if they just decided they don't do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the summer pass, and I'm going to check out for some more of those Zoom style virtual classes, and I'll go through all the steps with that and go through a class with virtual Zoom and stuff and get my license with through something like that. So I'm going to check it out for September. Neil Rigby, nice to have you here. 10842 upper sideband strong in the UK on the PL330. Pretty cool. Lock 2112 is anything on 14230. I've heard some slow scan TV on 14230 at least a dozen times just this week. It's a question of going on 14230 and just leave the radio there. And there's going to be you're definitely going to have some slow scan TV. Scott Belcher and stage play. Cool. That's pretty cool. No problem, Canadian Prairie's Shortwave. John Beckham, I'm thinking about getting the Radio R108. What do you think? It's a great little portable. If you don't need single sideband, try it out. It's a great radio. I kind of love mine. There's one flaw: the battery drains when not in use. So that's something that you need to know for sure. I missed the other one, but hey, there's a 1 minute 10-243. Let's try that one. 10-243, guys, is going to be in 1 minute another CW. So 10-243 CW. Yeah, it's there. It's not super strong, but it's there. So 10-243 CW is another Moscow, Russia station, number station in Morse code. So 10-243. If you guys want to try it out. Having fun tuning that. I'm going to try at 10 minutes is 14440 RTTY. That one's going to be interesting to try. F06A, which is a radio teletype one in 10 minutes, 9 minutes from now. David, my PL660 does that too. Yeah, I think all Texan receivers, when you do that in the up-down scale, they actually jump on the international broadcast bands on AM and the amateur bands on single sideband. I think it's all the Texan receivers do that. Mobile Armor Strike Command, 60-meter band, the 5-channel band. Yep. So yeah, I like I said, I think all Texan receivers do it. All of them. Scale up SDR radio is also a good starter for people that are new, so you can look around the band. Yeah, but it's a complex thing. You know, if you're not computer savvy or very technically inclined, it's I think it's very intimidating for people that don't know much. Jeffrey Chen, Joseph Aikenbaum, nice to have you here from South San Francisco Bay Area, California. No problem. What do we have here? Robert Osborne. Hi, everyone from Niagara Falls. Was out walking today. Cool. Made a few GMRS contacts. Nice. Jay Dakota says my new PL330 does scan the 60-meter amateur band, but it makes it LSB band. Robert Prosper, which ham bands is most active at this hour on the East Coast? You should have some hams on 20 meters, so the 14 megahertz band, and on 40 meters you should also hear some amateur bands. That's 7 megahertz. So try, and even 17 on 18 megahertz. So 18 megahertz and 20 megahertz. So that's the 17 and 20 meter band, upper sideband, and try 40 meters, 7 megahertz. That one, try it in lower sideband. You should hear some amateur bands if you do that. I don't think I'll have a lot of crystal sets, LW Appleby, that are very sensitive. Mark Ledford, nice to have you on board from Houston, Texas. Mark Drager, nice to have you here from Wisconsin. Jim F. Nice to have you here from a gloomy Rhode Island. Canadian Radio Prairie Shortwave. For noise, I will test Wemo QRM Eliminator. I have strong plasma TV noise. Yeah, that's what Richard Lemke was actually talking about in his email earlier. Kind of interesting to see if that works. Mark finally ordered a Texan PL330 yesterday because I couldn't stand hearing how great it is anymore. Oh, well. More money spent because you are spending too much time watching my videos. Oh, man. Scale up 4, hope to 11-year cycle starts soon. You know what? It's already on the rise, and I don't look at that for radio listening. It doesn't matter for me. You hear stuff all the time. Yeah, I don't know how well it can work for that. For killing the noise, plasma TV noise. Bobby Burgess, KPH, captured on 12808.5 CW. So let's check that out. 12808.5. Am I hearing it? Yep. KPH from California. Twelve eight oh 8.5, and it's a Saturday only, by the way, guys. KPH is broadcasting from the that station in Point Reyes, California, only Saturday, and it's pretty much only a hobbyist thing. So let me just check. I got 2 messages here. Rich Lemke says DX Engineering. From DX Engineering, Wemo QRM Eliminator is a simple signal phasing device that can effectively reduce or remove noise interference for dramatically improved reception from 3.5 to 60 megahertz. So it is based on a totally innovative concept and cannot be compared to the performance of noise blankers or DSP circuits. Removing the noise before it gets to the receiver is the superior method of interference reduction. So maybe that could be something nice to test out. How much does that cost, by the way, just out of curiosity? And you have a message from John Glass that says you've had 2 XH data D808, and he says the antenna mount has broken off on both of them. I'm very careful, but rotate the antenna clockwise so that it is vertical to the radio on my lap. In both cases, the plastic hole where the antenna enters the radio has broken so that the antenna flops around loose. Do you know if any other people have had this problem? Anybody have that problem particularly? One of the things that happens with my radios is I use the telescopic very little. And, you know, these radios are in plastic and casings. So, of course, that is something that can easily break, I would guess. Anybody have telescopic antenna problems with XH data? Just out of curiosity. So I'm going to move on to 14440 in upper sideband. 14440 in upper sideband. There should technically be some kind of RTTY. Curious to see if I'll hear that. So it's the F06A RTTY number station out of Moscow, Russia. Supposed to come up anytime now. Anytime now. PLF radio has 10243 on the XH data D808. Robert Cross, nice to have you here. Sony ICF's Shortwave 77 last week. Now waiting for com pasters for now. So I'm not hearing anything on 14440, and I don't know if anybody's hearing something on 14440 upper sideband. It's supposed to sound like some digital RTTY mode. SGB says 10243 coming in very strong. When I played with a fine tune like you recommended. Yeah, you got to play with a fine tune because that's giving you, especially for Morse code, that's the way you're getting that tone. That off tune gives you the tone you need to listen to it. Tristan, the other day I checked on Amazon for the PL330. It was 121 Canadian. Amazon always goes a little crazy with the radio prices. Yeah, I often see radios on Amazon that are at crazy high prices. Mark Ledford used to hear his wife talk on the old cordless home phone through shortwave. Hope that didn't make a divorce. Million Chip says I get CW on 10243 on the PL 600. Cool. Mark has got the PL 330 $75 through eBay. Dr. Sisop, nice to have you here. WWV 25 megahertz strong today. John Beckham, I guess the XH Data D808 wins for me over the Radio R108 because it has SSB and a better battery. Rich, 12808 CW heard in North Carolina. Joseph says KPH is just down the coastal street from where he is. Cool. There's Autocratter's Kitchen. I've been hearing that sync detection on the Texan radios is not that great. Are any of them impacted by the wide, narrow filter settings? Not that I know of. I don't know why they can't get the sync detection working right. It's really weird. Jersey bound, nice to have you here from New Jersey. Dave, I think he's got RTTY. It's possible. In Europe, maybe you guys are hearing. Maybe in Europe, you guys are hearing it more than here. Joseph Richard, good afternoon. Nice to have you here. So the cost is $169.99 US plus shipping. So that's like a 300 Canadian dollar thing. Mark says my order claims, yeah. That's what you want. If you get a PL330, anybody that buys one, you need to have at least the firmware or the software version has to be 3305 or later. How to Excel says he's got no problem with it because it's strong antenna, but he can't get a radio switch of 64 to 86. The switching from 64 to 86 depends on your step size, if I'm not mistaken. For that to happen, if I remember well, I'll have to, like, I don't remember what's the procedure. I think the 64 to 86 megahertz range, you have to change the step size. I think that's how it gets to 64. Let me, I have it here. Yeah, you got it here. Let me just check that for a second here. Going to check out if I can quickly find a way to do. So we're on FM. So mine starts at 87.5. Okay. I think I did this. Let me just use my light here for a second. So if I change 910, okay. Turn back on. I don't remember. It's not the step size. But I definitely remember there's a keypad trick. There's a keypad trick, but I don't remember which one it is. FM set. Oh, wait a minute. FM set. Click. 76, 64. Okay, I got it. For 64, you have FM set that on the button on the upper left of the radio. In orange, it says FM set. When you press that button, and hold it, it's going to display what set you have. When it flashes, simply click on it, and it's going to switch between 87.5, 76, or 64. Okay? So you press and hold. When it flashes, click through it until you have the proper setting. Now it says 64 megahertz here. So that means that now my radio is set at 64 megahertz. So try that. Should work. I don't think the radio is locked. I don't think there's such a thing as a lock of this model for anybody, honestly. So check that out to Excel. Dr. Sisop, can you decode RTTY? LW Appleby, actually SDR is very good and is very advanced with all the things you do with a computer. It's so much better in many ways. Not necessarily something everybody wants to go to, but there's so many things that makes it better. Daniel, love my XH Data D808. Just ordered Texan PL880 for improved audio quality and larger speaker. Cool. Gonna have a great radio there. M1MBZ RTT1 14440 in the UK loud. Cool. So it works. James Johnson's got skip on 27384 or 385 lower sideband probably. Jim, KN6BRK, nice to have you on board from California. So if you're talking to XH Data, I just explained what to do. There's a guy that sent me an email. A guy that sent me an email. Let me just go back here. John Glass. He said he had a problem with the antenna breaking on 2 of his XH Data D808. Henry Gonzalez, nice to have you here through email from Missouri City, Texas. So nice to have you here, Henry A. Gonzalez. Welcome aboard through email. Nice to have you here. I got to say, guys, I love this Fire HD10 tablet. I've been installing my favorite apps through APK's packages because it's, of course, it's technically not made to get apps from the Google Play Store, since they want you to use the Amazon Play Store or the Amazon App Store. But you can still install Android apps on this thing. PLF radio gets 14440 on XH data. Kevin, hi. Alligator clip a wire clamped to antenna with a St. John shortwave reel. My DO8, which stopped working about 2 weeks ago. When I took it to the beach, salt air wreaks havoc. Wow. Model strike command. Who's the person? So that's what we said. Robert Prosper says, I miss messing around with crystal sets, but where I live, it's hopeless. Yeah. Yeah. Shortwave listener 14440 was very faint. How to Excel says you have to take extra special care with the antennas. They are like cats. You must be gentle. Jay Gelwood, nice to have you here from Melbourne. Jace, nice to have you here. What else do we have? Darren, I will be ordering a Texan PL8080 from Nonco in the near future. Do you still use your PL880? I don't have an 880. I have a 990X. I never owned an 880. Dr. Sisup says a Nonco only place selling the latest PL330. PLF radio has 14436 RT2Y. Paul says quiet in Michigan. Chris, anyone got the Texan 990? I love it. And it has the SD card slot too. Yeah, I love mine. I have to say that I haven't used it a lot since I got the H501X, but wow. Roger Baird getting 14435 RT2Y, the RSPDX MLA30 and New Mexico. Let me just try it here. 14435. Upper, am I hearing something? Nope, nothing here on around that frequency. Kamag C76 says CB band's quiet today. Quite active today, sorry. Prosper, all Texan radios these days using the same basic chip. Most, except for the Texan PL 680, 660 that are sold, and the 600, which are still older style analog PLL receivers. Almost all of their lineup does revolve around the silicon integrated chip, but the higher end ones actually add layers that make it more like a mixed breed. So the PL990X and the H501X, for example, because they're triple conversion, a mix of the PLL analog style and the DSP chip, they tune like a PLL radio without any muting, and of course still have in some ways the weird feel of the DSP chip at the same time. Joseph, any sense of when the new keyed version of the Conicom will come out? Look, I would guess soon, because I've got the advanced look at some documentation. All I gotta say. So I'm pretty sure it's very soon. I don't think it's not going to be very long, honestly. Paul says 14100. There are dozens of CW and digital signals. Is there a contest? Yeah, there's some contest today. Robert Prosper, PL330 or Conicom GP7, which is the Texan PL368 in a slightly improved package. Um, it's more of a form factor thing. Depends what you like. PL330 has a little better audio because of its speaker that is a little bigger. It really depends what you like. Both will be great. Both are good radios. Work very similar. PL330 is a little bit more audio quality because of its speaker, technically. John McClure, nice to have you here. John Beckham, 10-4 on Crystal Radio being perfect radio using electromagnetic radio waves for power. You never run out of batteries, that's for sure. Melon Chip 2 says from Dublin, Ireland, have a Texan PL600. Sea Crane Skywave SSB, pretty brilliant radios. Great radios, that's for sure. LW Appleby, I tune into what I hear, not what I see, and that's a joy. And there's a lot more you hear when you can see that there's other things around you. I can tell you that. USB compact. Can I ask you where you get your radio stand with your channel name on it? It's a gift from an Australian viewer. He made it with his. Where is it right now? I guess it's in a other room. He made it with his 3D printer, and he actually offered the stand for free because he wanted to do a little gift for the channel. So I know it's beautiful. I don't know how many times I got people saying, "Hey man, where you got that beautiful stand with your channel name on it?" And that is an Australian viewer actually that sent me that. John, what else do we have? Vicky Pelletier got the Texan 990X with the batteries, but no charger. Is that normal? I think the 990 should have the charger in the box. Because I had on my 990X, I got the charger in the box. So technically, it should be a little white brick. I think it should have been in your box. Unless, because if it's not the X version, maybe there's an exception to the rule, and sometimes they don't give it with it. But mine, at least, the 990X, I had the charger with it. Did you get all the stuff, Vicky? Even the world map with amateur radio stuff and everything in the box? Because you should have a little white square, which is the power supply. Où est-ce que tu l'as acheté? Maybe it's where it comes from. Because when you purchase it, I bought mine from an Onco. It asked me what power adapter I need for the region that I am at. Maybe, and that's just a maybe, but maybe if you purchased it somewhere where it didn't specify that, since they don't know what power adapter to give you, they didn't put it in the box. It's a standard USB thing, so you can plug it on a computer, or if you have a phone charger for a smartphone, it's going to work fine to charge your Texan with the cable. As long as it has access to a USB port. That's all it needs. Jetcrafter just received an XH Data D318BT from Amazon, an amazing cheap radio, FM only. What amazes me is that it will record from radio, Bluetooth, auxiliary port, mic, onto the SD card for $19. Yeah, that reminds me of the same thing for the Tivdio, the famous Tivdio V115. That did that, actually. It was a radio that could record on SD card, and I was impressed. Honestly, I was very impressed at that. For barely $20, absolutely, it's crazy. Chris also likes C Crane radios. Got the C Radio 3 and the Skywave good units. Conrad, salut. Nice to have you on board. Take care, Tom DXer. Always nice to have you here. Robert Osborne has solar flux been increasing this week. Yeah, we've been in the 80 to 90 range, which is a change from the 7-ish change or lower 70s that we had in the past couple of weeks. DX Bandit picked up a Radio Shack DX399, very small, but with a outboard speaker, it has amazing sensitivity. Dave, Gilles, can you explain regenerative receivers? I've seen some kits like the MFJ 8100K that are intriguing, but I don't understand how they work. It all has to do with the type of design of the receiver circuit. I explain regenerative receiver. So, it's the way that the radio has its amplifier circuit for feedback. What happens is, I'll just read what's, because I haven't read a lot on that for a long time. But basically here it says a regenerative circuit is an amplifier circuit that employs positive feedback or regeneration. Some of the output of the amplifying device is applied back into its input so as to add to the input signal and increasing the amplification. Regenerative receiver was invented in 1912, patented in 2014, widely used in World War II. The advantages of regenerative receivers include increased sensitivity with modest hardware requirements and increased selectivity because the Q of the tuned circuit will be increased when the amplifying vacuum tube or transistor has its feedback loop around the tuned circuit. So it's a different way of working than today's super het receivers or super heterodyne receivers. I'd have to make a video. The best thing to do for that is I should try to post a video explaining it a little battery. But they are very, they're different. They're different beasts. They work in a different way from the modern receivers we have today. K1161, Radio Spain coming in well on 17855. Cool. LW Appleby, cheers. Cheers. Cheers, everybody. How to excel. When you press that, the radio has to be off, first of all. Make sure that the radio is turned off. Okay. And when you press and hold that key, do you see so you should see like 87.5 blinking or 76 blinking or something. It should tell you which one you have. When it is blinking, if you click again on it immediately, it switches. It will cycle through the different bands that you want. So for example, go back here. And I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but I'll hold it, then I'll cycle through. Hopefully you can see it. Oops, wrong button. The radio's off. The radio's not off. It has to be off. All right, here it goes. So. You see, I am actually cycling through which frequency? 87.5, 76, or 64. So you all press, starts blinking, you click, and you click, and you switch. You go until you have the one that you want, and you just leave it there. When it stops blinking, that's where you're going to start tuning. Radio needs to be turned off. Very important. If your radio's turned on, it doesn't work. What else do we have? Let's go down. Okay, so Chris says his Texan 990 also came with just a micro USB cable. So it seems that some of you are getting just the radio with the cable. Okay, I didn't know that. Thanks. Because I got mine from a non-co. And a non-co, when you purchase it, there's they ask you on the website which power adapter you need. And you have to choose your adapter for your region of the world. So maybe a lot of them don't come with any adapter. Okay. So thanks for letting me know that, because it's something I didn't know. No, because, okay, how to excel. That's because your radio's on. The radio needs to be off. How to excel. You press, you hold, it starts blinking, 87.5. You press, it's going to change 76. You press, you're going to go to 64. Just stop pressing. And once that is over, you turn the radio back on and you'll start tuning at 64 instead of 87.5. You're doing it, the radio turned on. It has to be turned off. That's why you have ATS going on. Bruce, any advice on how to upgrade Chinese SDR? I downloaded files. It needs to get unzipped and does not work. It's a complicated process, I had to tell you. You need to have the radio, the SDR, put in a specific mode, first of all, so that it is detected by your computer in a specific mode for the transfers of the files. You need the software, and you need there's one guy on YouTube that shows it very well, but you have to go step by step and be sure to do exactly what he says. But as long as the radio is not in the specific mode needed for the transfer, for the upgrade of the SDR, it will not do anything. You need to have that radio put in a specific mode for it. John Becken, Radio Spain coming into southeast coast of the U.S. on 17855. Ted Crafter, funny you mentioned a V115. I ordered one today to play around. Yeah, for $17, it's okay. You know, its major problem of the V115 is really the very high noise floor from the electronics of the radio itself. If it wasn't for that, it's surprising for the price. LVR Galarga, nice to have you on board from shortwave to CB. Absolutely. Absolutely. Simon Templar, nice to have you here. Robert Osborne, 9765 from Madagascar in Niagara Falls, 14,000 kilometers. Pretty cool. Nice to have you here, Simon, from Portland, Oregon. You know what, Jeff Crafter? Two things here are possible. The cheap radios, they don't care. And they put it anyway, but they should license it. Or our Texan just didn't think about that. But my best bet on what that is that Texan did not implement that because they had to pay some royalty to somebody to implement it in the radios. My take is that those $20 radios, the company making them just said, who cares? Let's do it anyway. which is often a way of doing things from China. So Texan, being much more of a higher end company making, good radios, probably thought, well, if we'll have to pay some fee to have that implemented. And that's going to up the price of our radios, and we don't want to have that. Even if they would have charged $20 more, I would have still got the radio. And but I don't know. The only thing I can think, I hope it's more that than they just didn't do it, because it would have been the 990X and the 501X would have been amazing with a recording capability. I can tell you that. Christian Marcoux, can you tell me a list of portable shortwave radios that have airband? At the top of my head, Texan PL 680 and Texan PL 660. Then you have the XH Data D808, the Radio R108. You have the Sea Crane Skywave SSB. You got a Sangean ATS 909X2. That's pretty much what's coming off the top of my head in terms of receivers with airband. Moises Perez, what Grundig is it? We need to have more specific info. What model number? Vicky, yeah, you can plug it directly to your PC, Vicky. Absolutely. You can plug it directly on your PC. It's going to charge. Just plug the USB cable in your PC. It's going to work fine. Anything that gives you a USB port that you can actually use will work to charge the radio. So thanks, guys, for letting me know something that I did not, which is that a lot of you are getting the 990X without a power adapter. And Vicky, you know what? You want to charge it without your PC? Go to the dollar store. They have those power supplies. They have already the power supplies with USB ports. Buy one of those cheap ones. It's going to work fine. It's not for listening because it's going to be very noisy, but it's going to work fine. John Beckham, I like shortwave radio for ones that pick up CB radio and the 11 meter band. Yeah. Yeah, well, Superhead is what everybody does, but another thing, Vicky, that you can do if you want, they have chargers. You can buy a charger for 18650 lithium-ion batteries, and then you could, you could charge it externally if you want also. But yeah, you can just plug it into your PC and it's going to charge. Yeah, it's a very specific, it's a very different way of doing radio technology and when really regenerative receivers work. So I'm pretty sure that is, I'm pretty sure it's royalty fees they had to pay that they decided they didn't want to pay. And it stopped them from actually doing that record possibility. I mean, you put a playback, you're not very far from doing a record if you want to. Chris says, just got a vintage Grundig Satellite 700. How many still use Sony ICF 2010? It's a pretty popular unit still today. I think a lot of people that have the 2010, which is also known as a 2001, still have their original Sony. Got it? How to Excel? Cool. Glad we could help you. Chris, my 2010 had been repaired several times, but I love it. Vicky, yes, a video explaining how to charge batteries with a white box. How to Excel. The radio was off, but I did not press it right away to change it again. That's the thing. So now you got it. Because these radios are, wherever you buy them, none of them have locked or disabled features. They are different depending on what country you buy it, because, for example, if you look at the fact that you would have a receiver that you purchase in Europe, might want to have a different band, plan, like in Japan and so on. It might come already with a different one, but most radios don't come really locked with anything special. Yeah, the 330 did not come with an adapter. That I did not have an adapter with the 330, but at that price point, it's probably normal. And so I used the one from the PL990X with the power adapter that I have with it. Harry Olden says, is the 990X or H405, you mean the H501, sensitive enough to work with passive loop antenna like the U-loop? How would you rate these radios for medium wave DX? I haven't done enough tests to tell you are they medium wave DX horses. There's one thing that I know is that the H501X is known to have a bigger ferrite. So technically that should give it an edge. The 990X and the H501X have one advantage also. You can actually put an external antenna for medium wave DXing, which is not something that you have on a lot of radios. So they could turn out to be amazing radios for medium wave DXing, for sure. As for the radios, they are as sensitive as a radio can be. So a U-loop will work with them, that's for sure. They are very, very sensitive. These radios are as sensitive as a radio can possibly be sensitive, honestly. Levi Nathan, nice to have you here from Israel. Paul says, what are the best frequencies for SSB listening in Brookfield, Connecticut? Well, amateur bands. So anything that is, like daytime, you should try 14,000 to 14,350. You should try 18,100 to 18,168. You should try 21,000 to 21,450. You should try in the late afternoon and evening 40-meter band, which is 7,000 to 7,300 kilohertz lower sideband. 80 meters, 3,500 to 4,000 kilohertz lower sideband. Apart from that, if there's international broadcast bands or amateur bands, outside of all of that, pretty much everything is tuned in single sideband. Just go slowly. One of the biggest problems that I see regularly in the hobby is people go too fast when they tune. They start tuning and it's like, yeah, let's go. No, that's not the way you're going to find signals. It tunes slowly because some of them are weak and you might notice them only if you tune very slowly. And of course, single sideband are not always, they're on and off signals. So you might miss out on something if you go too fast. Just simply tune around slowly. There's tons of things to listen to in single sideband. Jason, my PL330 came with no adapter either. I don't think they do. They just use your phone adapter. Yeah, no, the small ones like the 330 don't come with an adapter. Absolutely. An XH data doesn't come with an adapter. They give you the cable, but they don't give you any adapters to charge with the radio. So most of them don't. But the higher end ones, like my Texan PL990X came with one. The H501X that I have here came also with a power adapter. Tristan, could we be looking at the end of mid-range portables powered by AA batteries? Could the PL 600, 680, and 660 be the last? Kind of sad. I think they are. I think what's happening in this shift is that I would tend to think that any other new radio Texan will make in the future will not have a AA batteries or AAA batteries in them. I think it's a new trend going forward. They decided to switch to these lithium-ion batteries instead. And I wouldn't be surprised that a lot of other manufacturers that make radios in the future go that way also. For me, it's sad because, a lot of people don't understand why I always say, is that it's not that it's a bad battery. Like the 18650 isn't a bad battery. It actually punches a lot of power for a small battery. Like I always like to say is, radios with AA's, you're out in the woods camping, you run out of battery power. You can just go to any place that, any store will have AA batteries. Not a lot of places will have 18650s. That's where I'm at when I say, it's kind of sad they don't use standards. But I think that's the future, and I think we are at a moment where all of that is changing. Absolutely. So yeah, Texan is made in China, but in China, not all companies play by the rules, and I would say that Texan in China probably has more of a serious business, that they want to play by the rules because they don't want to have trouble. So, hey, Cool AM Radio, nice to have you on board, Andre, from the Netherlands. Anybody built a shortwave receiver from kit? Recommendations? Yeah, I don't know. Any shortwave radio kits available today? That's a good question. I built an AM, FM, and AM radio from Elenco on Amazon. They're cheap and they work amazingly well. Actually, for those of you that don't know, if you want to just have fun and build a little something, or like a weekend project or something, or if you want to show kids radio technology and how it works, the Elenco AM radio and AM FM radio kits are extremely well done. What the hell's that? Extremely well done. They explain all the radio technology, how it works. It's just very, very well done. But for shortwave, I don't know. If anybody has a shortwave kit, let me know. Maybe it could be a fun weekend project and I could make a video out of it. I did build a shortwave because there was a shortwave radio. If you guys remember Radio Shack, they had these little radio kits with the springs where you just put the little wires everywhere. They had one with shortwave. I had that. I remember buying it. I remember getting not a lot, but a few of the strongest stations I would get. in there back then. But I haven't seen a shortwave radio kit in a very long time. It's almost. I wonder if it really any exists out there. Yeah, well, Sony in general is known for its synchronous detectors that are really, really good. Sony is off the radio band, unfortunately. And then Chip says, my very first shortwave radio was the Sony ICS Shortwave 22. Tiny but great, still have it. Cool. Dr. Sisop used to buy CBs from the UK, used them here in the US, and they were great, just not use the UK bands as it's FM only. Pas de problème, Vicky. Scott Belcher, I'm about to take a leap. I'm going to order a registered Malachite radio, $198 on AliExpress. It's $276 on Amazon. Can't afford that. I hope it's a good one. One thing for sure, it's when you buy the Chinese one, it's always a kind of a risk. Kev Michael, is Itachi and JVC still around? I've seen a few Itachi branded stuff. Not in radio, but in other electronics. I have not seen JVC in ages in anything. We have Parig Nolan. Nice to have you on board from Ireland. Texan PL 880 and Yesu FRG 7. Russian numbers on 243 coming in strong here. Cool. Dr. Sisop 27555. Free band, great on upper and lower side bands. Pretty cool. What else do we have? What else do we have? No, the H501X did not come with a long wire antenna. Absolutely. None in the box. Yeah, John Beckham, Hard Bell on Coast to Coast AM. William Helms, too bad the TVO V115 had noisy LCD. It needed shielding from the rest of the board. Yeah, that was the main problem. Milky Chen, use power banks. Hannah Rose White. Have you ever used a DN? What's a DN? David P. Miller, nice to have you here from New Jersey. Kadarius, nice to have you on board. Paul, sleeping in the chair just behind here. David Miller says there are some high-end kits available from Europe, Germany, Australia, Switzerland. The guy does some excellent ham gear. His radios are not toys. Huh. eBay has some kits, really? I need to check that out. Could be fun. It's always fun to build something and turn it on and have it working, and you're like, wow, this is so cool. Yeah, EatKit. They were known back then. EatKit was the radio kit stuff. Radiokits.co.uk, shared by Cooliam Radio. Look at that. Radio kits. Okay. Adapter digital amateur radio kits. SWR. Simple. Kind of interesting. There's some stuff here. SDR receiver pan adapter. Huh. Kind of interesting here. Checking that out. Oh, yeah, I saw that. You remind me of that. Texan does have a medium wave radio kit. Too bad they don't have a shortwave kit. Securus says Electronic Goldmine has an AM radio kit, item number C6749. Chris, back in the day, got the ETH kit GR43. I was half done. I finished it with the help of my electronics teacher. Some parts were missing. We've got it working. I got it still. That reminds me of when I got electronics courses. I was working a lot, so part of the electronic courses that I took by correspondence. So they would send you, they were very expensive. They would send you a box with all the parts you needed, all the breadboards and everything, all the books. You had access to a teacher if you needed help. And one of the boards was a switchboard that was made for demonstrating how the chips work. So you had all sorts of chips for, like displaying on LCD screens and stuff. And to simulate the action of the electronic switching and to have you understand how it works, they would have you build a board with manual switches. So the manual switches would work as binary code that you would actually enable, disable the zeros and ones by switching on or off manually. And that would actually be the visual way of teaching you how it works to have these chips, do what you want. And when the kit arrived, of course, I take all the parts, have to build that board because need to do the experiments in order to do the exams. The switches that they give and the breadboard, the switch has really thick, metal feet under the switches. They don't fit on the board. The board has tiny holes. The switches have fat metal blades. It's like, okay, that doesn't work. So I would always go to an electronics store here called Addison. So one day it's like, well, I have to go to Addison's. I'm going to check out if they have, switches that I would fit in the board. So I get to the alley where the switches are, and I find these really cool switches that have this very thin pins that fit exactly in the holes. So when you did the electronics, you had, of course, to show it to the teacher at some point, and you would analyze, the soldering and how you built it and see if it works to give you points for the, for the electronics part. I arrive. He is sure, because we are like 100 guys that got the kit. When I get there, he is sure that my kit is not done and doesn't work. So he says, I'm going to ask you anyway, because I'm pretty sure you didn't do it, but because the switches didn't fit. Did you do the, the breadboard with the switches for the IC? I said, yeah, your switches didn't fit. So I went to Addison Electronics, bought switches that did fit to make it. And he just looks at me like all surprised. He says, well, out of 100 guys, you're the only one that actually made it. Because all the other guys were too dumb to find a way to fit the switches. And I look at him and I said, well, another thing that I taught, it was to solder little pins of wire and, of copper wire and put it on the board. But I thought, that would be it would work, but it would be too flimsy. So I thought, well, I'm going to go check if there's switches. Maybe it's going to be better. He looked at me and says, well, not only did you make it, but you're the only one that even had the idea of making little pins out of copper wire. So he looks at my board. He says, it's well made. And he says, you know what? I'm giving you 100% because you're the only one that made it. And he looks at me. He says, if one day I need some guy in electronics and you're looking for a job, you're the guy I'm hiring. You're the only one that actually does things. And he's like, okay. And the worst part is I'm thinking about it and I'm like, really? You know, really? Nobody did it because switches didn't fit. Nobody even thought of some way of doing it, or even just complaining saying my switches don't fit. What should I do? It's like I'm the only one that did it. It's like, come on, guys. You want to learn or not? And I mean, if you didn't do it, the worst part of that is that you couldn't even do the experiments to see how the IC chips are programmed and work. You know, it's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Jerry DX, Chinese anything is a risk. William Helms, Angela Wong at Reticus traded me a Tivio V115 for 2 antennas I made for her. Wow, that's cool. Livy Nathan, congratulations on 196 watching. Remember, we were 60. Yeah, I remember we were 10. It's pretty cool. Salut TVDXer. Fais attention à toi. À la prochaine. Maxi 76 says 190 radio lovers. Like it. Pretty cool. Darren says, do a Google search for Ramsey Electronics for shortwave radio kits. However, I'm not sure if they're still in business. Yeah, I don't think they are. I haven't seen Ramsey. I remember seeing their ads everywhere, but I haven't seen Ramsey Electronics for anything in a long time. Harry Holden says, looking at an Onco website, I see with the PL880 Deluxe kit. Yeah, the 990 also comes with the Q3 unit to record an SD card. Absolutely, you can do that with that unit. It's actually an MP3 recorder, simply. With the 990, they do have the Deluxe kit with that also. Parek Nolan says, one of the earliest radios I purchased around the 1980s was a Heathkit Shortwave 717. Purchased it secondhand, so it was already assembled. First radio I used had SSB, still have it, but no longer working. Yeah, I saw that BFO kit that turns an regular analog shortwave AM radio into SSB. Absolutely. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Kevin, MFJ8100K is a shortwave radio kit. On DX Engineering, it is around $89 US. Huh. You made me think, yeah, MFJ used to have one, so it's probably that one. Oh, that is interesting. Pretty interesting. Suntleo, nice to have you here from Oklahoma City. Chris, anyone remember the problem with the Heathkit G43? It was very close to of a match for the Xenic Transoceanic. Pretty cool. Laugh a Lot 101. Looking for older radio with shortwave capabilities. I heard Panasonic 2200, but is there something cheaper that's decent? The older shortwave radios are crazy expensive and not worth the prices most of the time. Most of the time. So, you just continue looking. But I would buy. I understand that maybe you'd like to have some kind of vintage radio, and I understand the feel and look of those older radios is kind of cool. Just I would go to, if you have or know of any amateur radio hamfests around you, flea markets, and even look at classified ads around where you live. You'd be surprised at radios that pop up from time to time at prices that are much more decent than what it's selling for on, eBay and places like that. Helen Hendelman Show says Lafayette had an awesome 4-band shortwave kit called Explore Air. Dad and I put it together when I was 13. It was a full tabletop shortwave radio. For an extra $298, they sent a wooden cabinet. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Robert Prosper says, over the last 6 years, the amount of price inflation I've seen on eBay for vintage shortwave radios has been insane. Intense and insane. What is sad also about those prices is that when you go to a hamfest, the guy's going to have a radio in front of you, and he's going to say, well, I'm asking $400 for it. And you're going to go nuts because you're going to say, well, that's not worth that price. And he's going to tell you what he's going to answer back. Well, have you seen on eBay the prices? The best thing to reply to that is, yeah, and they don't sell it. Have you noticed? They haven't sold it. It didn't say it, they sold it. It just, the 10 days or whatever days they chose to have it online expired. No one purchased it. You got to be very, very careful because a lot of those radios on eBay have not sold. So we got to be careful. And a lot of people are in the impression, well, if eBay sells them for $400, that means it's worth $400. I'll say it again and again, guys. An old radio is an old radio. It's old radios. Okay? 30-year-old radio. It's a 30-year-old electronics device that you don't know what it's been through, what happened to it. It's an old radio, and you know what? When you start going 30, 40 years, they're nice looking, but they drift. They're not like today's. Think twice before buying an old radio. Honestly, think twice. And you should not pay any expensive price for an old radio. It's old technology, not worth it. I understand how we can get into that, buying something like that. I mean, especially if you've been in radio for a long time. Our childhood receivers and the big tabletops and the big portables of the times, and they have a certain something. We kind of fall in love with the way they look and they feel, and part of it has to do with the way, much more with the way that we kind of have nostalgia around it than actually performance. Guys, most 30-year-old portables are not even half as good as a brand new Texan receiver today. And I'm not kidding. When we start looking at that seriously, we thought they were amazing back then, and some of them were quite good back then. But compared to a radio today, a lot of them don't even pass the test. You start tuning in, and you're like, well, I thought this thing was better than that. But that's because you can now compare it with some technologies that are amazing today. So, be very, very careful of buying an old radio. I am, when it comes to old radios, I'm the guy that's extremely cheap. If you sell me for example, if you would, say, hey, I got a Yaesu FRG7 for $200. You're going to keep it. I'm not even paying above 100 for that. It's nice looking. It's a good radio overall. It's an old radio. I'm going to save that money and buy something new instead. So be very, very careful. Old radios are not worth what they are. There's exceptions maybe, and very rare vintage stuff that there's like 3 copies left in the world. I understand the high price they go for, because it's like, well, there's only 3 of them left in this world. Yeah, okay. I get the drift, but still, nope, no, not worth it. And that's my opinion on that. Cool AM radio. On the morning of November 10th, radio equipment manufacturer Ramsey Electronics was raided by a United States Customs Service by officers with a search warrant. Like an action movie drug. Whoops. Lost the. Let's just go back here. Drug bust. Agents moved in at 10 a.m. to search and seized over $30,000 worth of Ramsey Electronics inventory in 2019. So that explains pretty much where it's gone. Cool, Chris. Happy to have you here for the first time. Hope you're going to come back. We're here live twice a week at 0 UTC on Wednesday. That's Thursday for a lot of people. It's 8 p.m. Eastern, Wednesday, North America. And Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 20 hours UTC. Robert Proster says, correct. I see the same units on eBay month after month. Yeah. People think they're going to have big bucks for these things. Old radios are old radios. One of the things is, somebody mentioned Craigslist. Absolutely. And local ads are very, I've seen go by a lot of radios on Craigslist here locally, and on, what's the other ad place that's very popular? I forgot the name. At very much more decent prices than what eBay or whatever. One of the times on eBay, one of the big problems that can happen also is because big radios are heavy, and one of the problems today is the radio might be decently priced, but shipping it from one part of the world to your part of the world, because it's a huge, big radio that weighs tons, the problem will be in the shipping. Shipping costs will be too high. So, electrolytic capacitors from the past are, often need to be changed. There's a lot of problems that can go by. These are not eternal in eternal radios. Yeah, it's pretty much nostalgia more than anything. I can tell you that. Probably can tell you that. Norval Monson built a 75 watt Heathkit transceiver or 75W Heathkit transceiver in 1965. That was marine band and medium wave band. Out of Gulf of Alaska, I listened to half the world. It had great transmission range. Cool. Chaz Tank, you hit the nail on the head. Yep. Melodic minor. Correct. I have an old Grendig that doesn't hold a candle to my Texan. Yeah, absolutely. DX Bandit. I don't agree with that. Old analog radios are crappy compared to today's modern equipment. It's the other way around. It's much more the other way around. Robert Prosper says, I do miss being able to go to a Walgreen drugstore and buying a cheap Jade Radio AM from Hong Kong. Yeah. You know, even 20 years ago, not that far away, 15 to 20 years ago. Let's put it in the 90s. You could go out to one of those, cheap stores where they have tons of cheap things around and get a AM FM radio that was decent in performance and decent in operation. Still, it still was made in a good old style analog and wasn't very expensive. Today, the AM FM stuff we buy for cheap price are darn cheap, crazy crap, and they are far from what even the cheap stuff from the 90s was. Frank Ireland, nice to have you on board from Venice, Florida. Yeah, going into a store and seeing, even if it's not shopping, Robert Prosper, is also being able to go to a store and just be able to see radios. Even if you're not shopping, just, looking at the radios, seeing the different models. Yep, absolutely. Dave says, what I enjoy about the old solid state sets are the big speakers and sound and solid tuning knobs. Yeah, because, a lot of them back then there's a lot of radios that use metal parts and yeah, the big radios had much bigger speakers. They often had amazing sound. And they're amazing, absolutely. There were some advantages, absolutely, for having big radios. Franco AC, greetings from the UK. I think us older guys miss the analog sound. Nothing much on the current market like it. Well, I'm going to tell you one thing about that, is that the two Texans, latest Texans that I purchased, the 990X, H501X, would be pleasing to people that remember the good old radios with big sound of the 80s and 70s, because they have big sound, particularly the H501X. It's truly like going back in time on a big, nice shortwave radio that we could purchase in the 80s that sounded great, but with modern technology in it, which is pretty amazing. Yeah, there's Craigslist and oh man, can't remember the name of. There's quite a few places you should go. Check local ads online in your area, and even in newspapers. You'd be surprised. Parek Nolan have both FRG7 and Texan PL 880. I confirm that Jill is correct. The Texan is a better, more sensitive radio. However, the FRG7 was my dream receiver as a teen, and it stays in my collection. The thing is, if you have one of those, keep it. Totally keep it. You've got amazing devices there. The FRG7 is beautiful, and it's definitely a keeper. It's just definitely not worth the prices they're asking for. That's where it stands. Radio will still be here in 100 years. Can tell you that. Tristan, what is the reason why radios use the internal ferrite antenna instead of a telescopic antenna for the AM band? Because and telescopic is not long enough. It would not perform well. As you go lower in frequency, you have longer wavelength. So for example, in shortwave, on the shortwave bands, the wavelengths are still manageable. So if you tune in 6 megahertz, it's 49 meters. 49 meters would be the ideal antenna length. technically. It's still manageable that a telescopic gets enough, even though it's completely out of whack with really the tuning of the meter band. It's still good enough to receive a signal at those ranges because the meter band is still the wavelength, the size of the signal is still manageable with a small antenna. It still gets it, still works. But as you go down, the wavelength becomes so huge that a small antenna like a telescopic is so far from the wavelength that it just doesn't receive much signal. So what happens is that the antenna almost doesn't receive when the signals are weak. A ferrite contains hundreds of turns of wire. So think about it as a short antenna, but that resonates at very low frequencies because it has thousands of turns of wire that make it more sensitive to the lower frequency range because it has the capability of getting more signal of that very long meter, that very long wavelength. Because when you're at 1 megahertz, 1,000 kilohertz, okay, 1 megahertz is 1,000 kilohertz. If you tune a signal at 1,000 kilohertz in the AM band, you're at a wavelength of 300 meters. That means to have a resonant antenna, perfect resonant antenna of a full wave antenna, you'd have to have 300 meters of wire. It's impossible to have that in a radio. But one thing, and the trick to do it, is to wind up thousands of, wire with a metal core for the ferrite that helps it resonate at medium wave frequencies. And actually, these antennas, I say it often, these ferrites and our portable radios are much better than people want to give them credit for. If you look, if you put out 50 feet of wire outdoors and use that for medium wave, I can tell you that ferrite in your radio deals better and works better than that 50-foot wire outdoor because it actually technically is much more resonant than the wire is, because 50 feet of wire compared to that 300 meters required is small. It's a small antenna. In terms of medium wave, it's almost like not that much better than the telescopic, because the dimensions become huge. And in long wave, it's even worse because now you're getting into 1,000 meters of wavelength, which is crazy. So that's why the ferrites exist, because the manufacturers noted that when you went down to AM, if you put a telescopic, it doesn't work well. You're going to get the local strong stations, but you will not get the DX, for example. The faraway stations won't come in. If you would replace, or if you could find a way to replace that, well, actually you can if you have a Texan PL990X, for example, or even a PL330. Try to hook the external antenna with a little piece of cable to a telescopic, and tune around the AM band where the external antenna port works and see how crappy it is. You're going to see it's very crappy. And you add the fact that a ferrite is very directional, so it helps you also in getting the maximum amount of signals possible. So, There's Craigslist, man. What's the there's another one that's very popular that I know exists everywhere. Let me check here. Classified ads. First of all, for the classified ads, type classified ads in your area because there's Craigslist. But for example, here we have classified ads. That I have at least 4 or 5 classified ads websites that are very local to either Montreal or Quebec or Canada and not available, for example, for the US. Do go Google classified ads and add the name of your city or town. And you're going to see that there's more. There's not just Craigslist. There's a lot more than that for classified ads online. Kijiji. Yes. Thank you very much, guys. Kijiji. That's another one that's very popular. Check that out. Yeah, simply, absolutely. Cell phones are radio tech. It is radio technology. Absolutely. John Beckham still prefers quality outdoor antenna erected as high as possible for maximum reception. This makes for great DXing. Ferrites are good at low frequencies, but as you get higher and come back to shortwave, ferrites at some point aren't. When the bandwidth gets much smaller, they don't react in the same way and don't work in the same way at all. So. Original shortwave radio was a realistic Astronaut 4. It had an interesting antenna arrangement. The ferrite bar antenna would work on frequencies below 10. Yeah, it can be done. Can be done. So, yeah, because we go to half wave or quarter wave, it makes much more decent antennas also of size. Much more decent antenna of size. So, what else do we have? Some do use a mix of the ferrite and the telescopic sometimes to maximize. Realistic DX60 used the ferrite antenna for the 49 meter band. Yes, in the lower parts, but in the really lower parts of the shortwave spectrum where the meter band becomes much bigger. Absolutely. Some might work. Well, Craigslist is not more bogus than anything else, Dr. Sisop. All the classified ad sites, what you need to do is be very careful. Be very careful. Because there's scammers of everything on every classified ads. Craigslist is not worse than any other in that respect. Every classified ad site says scammers on it. You have to be careful not to give money to somebody that doesn't have the proper thing or that it's working. It's like eBay. Oh, I saw a Yaesu FRG7 for $75. It says not tested. Maybe it works. No, it doesn't. Anybody that says not tested on eBay means it doesn't work. It's the other way of saying it does not work. Not tested. Come on. You didn't turn it on and try to get something not tested. I know I don't know how it works, so I'm not testing it. Yeah, right. You just didn't. It just didn't work. Okay, just say it as it is. Roger Baird, the LA30 Plus works very well in medium wave antenna with my Texan PL990. I'm always surprised when I get a 2 kilowatt station that is 800 miles away. Cool. Yeah, it's not the best medium wave antenna around, but it does a decent job, absolutely, at doing it. So, you know. They are loop antennas, absolutely. The ferrite is a loop antenna. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a loop antenna. Oh, really? In the US, Kijiji was bought out by eBay. I didn't know that. And the magnetic component, they're loops. They're really loop antennas. And they add to the fact that with all the turns of wire, they're able to get much more signal than a telescopic would ever get. So, you know, but they are loops. It's like a loop. It's totally a loop. That's for sure. They're very directional, absolutely. And they are, like I said, they are much more interesting than, much more sensitive than you'd ever think. It honestly is an amazing. Those loops are amazing. Those ferrites. Simply some solar news. AR 2025, 2026 wrote 8's out of view. A new active region with a growing sunspot group in the north at latitude north 13. Rebounding solar flux. Cool. More solar activity. Hey, VKPLTA. No. John Beckham, the ferrite antenna is like an advanced version of the copper wire woundings around a bare toilet paper roll for a crystal set. Yep, absolutely. Mark, made me curious. Why does the old car radio have such a good AM without a ferrite? How did they overcome this? One of the things that they did was use part of the cars. In the old days, they would use part of the car's body to actually make the antenna system, since the car was metal. So they were able to overcome a lot of the shortcomings, because sometimes it didn't work well. But you know, a lot of the cars had radios with ferrites in it. Problem is a lot of the motors back then, especially, were creating interference on it. But old car radios used, you know, a lot of them used the car's antenna, telescopic antenna, but would integrate it in a way that it made it better. What else do we have? Mike Jam, nice to have you on board. Says, I grew up near Boston, been to Montreal 3 times. Chez Paris. Ever been there? Be honest. No, I've never. And I'm honest. That's also something, is apart from the cars, like Carl Icahn says, apart from the car itself creating interference, possibly, when you drive your car on the highway, you're much further away from interference than you are with the radio in your home. That is also a something that is something to think about. You're further away. The expanding of an old Fisher receiver, the short ferrite antenna is amazing. Yep. Joseph Nusa, my last Volkswagen used the wire defroster at the rear hatchback. A lot of the cars did use some of those things, those circuits, as antennas, and they did that with a lot of especially older cars. Because remember, if today's cars are made of plastic, and it's like today's cars are very different from a car that's 40 years old. There's a lot more plastic and a lot less to deal with, but everything that you use, the car can use. And some cars, absolutely, they use the defroster circuits and stuff like that because it's wire. So it's wire. Well, it's going to work as an antenna. Absolutely. Absolutely. RGA Dakota says our old Volkswagen had a long whip antenna, but used the body as a ground plane. Yep, they did that a lot on the radio, particularly. That's why a lot of the radios actually worked well. They had a circuit that actually was balanced thanks to the body of the car. Why did they do magnetic mount CB antennas? And why did they work so well? Well, they work so well because when that magnetic base was well stuck to the metal car, the whole body of the car acted as a balance for the antenna itself. It didn't need to be that long to be absolutely amazing and work really well with a CB radio. The car was used in some way to do it, which is something that would be more difficult today. So absolutely, there was really a balanced circuit in there, and things made really these antennas work so much better. My VHF UHF antenna at the back. Why does it work? Why did it work so well? It found the same equivalent as the body of a car, a big metal shed that's huge. So Dr. Sisop, I remember the alternator noise. I remember when I was listening to Shortwave, and a car would pass by in the front on the street, and I would hear the interference from the alternator, like slowly come higher, and then drift back below when it was actually going by. We would hear that quite regularly, actually. It was crazy. It was just a lot of so much fun. It was crazy what the good old days of radio. So hey guys, it's that time where I will start saying goodbye. 3 hours and 4 minutes. Hope you enjoyed the show today. Won't forget we're here twice a week, and that hope that you enjoyed the show today. We learned a lot of stuff, and a lot of you learned how to use a radio with a little more. That brings me back to something I was actually thinking this morning. Thinking I should do a lot more videos on each radio's settings, how to change the settings, how to play with the radio's buttons. And a lot of people would rather have a visual manual of radios than have to read a radio book or a manual. And sometimes the way you explain it might have you understand something that you didn't understand when you read the book or the manual. And sometimes you don't get it right away. It's not always the case that you get it right away. So, hey guys, hope you enjoyed today's show. It was nice to be here, and we'll be back on Wednesday as usual. And we hope that you enjoy what we do here all the time. Nice to have everybody here, of course, as usual. And we'll change the lighting here so that we will follow a little Moscow Nights for you guys. Here we go. Changing colors. And we will end with the official theme of the show, which comes from, for people that listen to Radio Moscow way back in the days, you guys remember this song, and that will be our ending for tonight. And Carl Icon, I'd like to see you do an antenna swap video, same radio, same station, swap antennas only. Yeah, that's true. That's something I don't do much. That's a good idea. I did a few long time ago between the Sloper and the MLA30 to show the difference, but I never did a lot of them. David, someday we have to organize a call-in where those of us who are hams can call and make QSOs. Yes, we do. We need to do that real soon. Absolutely. So take care, everybody. Always nice. Hope that for the newcomers to the show today that you'd like what you see and what you hear and what you learn. And see you next week for the other shows. Stay safe. I'll be doing some radio listening tonight after I eat. I've got some Greek meatballs with tzatziki and a Greek salad. And that's going to be... that's going to be what I'm going to eat tonight. So take care, everybody. Stay safe. Love you all. And Radio On. Radio On. Hey, Paul, don't buy it. Buy it from Anonco, the PL330. You'll get it from Anonco. And yes, and then 6RLS is right. Don't forget, tomorrow, 10:30 Eastern Time, International Radio Report. And there's the International Radio Report YouTube channel. About an hour later, with our latest episode, we have a guest on the show for the International Radio Report tomorrow. So hope that you enjoy that also. It's already sent. I've actually all queued it up so that it's ready to play. 14:30 UTC, ckut.ca, where you can stream it live, or youtube.com/international radio report, where you can hear it just around an hour later tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Stay safe. Love you all. And the suspense is now here. Here we go. 1976. That came out of Google Translate. It's actually not bad at all. Take care, everyone. Love you all.
Would like